Hi, so welcome to this stream, and this is the fourth. So I just want to give a title here, just to this is going to be the game 4 for Ben Nguku. Mehul Gohil. Okay, so these we can save and head back to Lab and see what's going on. So let's do something very simple. I'm coming back to the stream just now. Give me one moment, guys. This is something I want to check. I think I've missed one or two moves. We are starting very late. A very interesting game between Ben Nguku and Mehul Gohil. So here there's just something that it's a very interesting game. I'm coming to that. I'm setting up streaming right now. That's what is keeping me on my toes on this other side. So what I want to do is to share this. How do I find? Yeah, that's found it. Okay, copy that, and I go to something else. Chase updates. Sorry guys, I'm trying to set this up as we are going about, as we are starting, because we ran into some really tough challenges early in the morning and then late in the second round also. But right now we are about to succeed. So I'm just setting this on chess updates, live stream. Join me now. Leave a comment. Bear with me, guys. We're coming to it just now. Don't worry. I'm on the tail end of this. It's been a while since I streamed last, and so this is going to be quite something. The next item, I just want to go to another site and just post this link so that I've seen I have one viewer right now. Maybe there are more now. I just can't tell. I've just started a few seconds ago, but I haven't shared the link. So I'm impressed there's someone who's already watching this, but we will have a few more people in a very short while. So yeah, so let me just put something here. Then we come back to the game, which has been amazing actually. It's an interesting game. For Okay, fair enough. Great. So yeah, I think what I'm gonna do now is just head out of those, and I want to believe that in the OBS stream you can actually see what I'm doing, and I do not have full access to this, to be honest, and so I may not be able to know exactly how that is going, but I'm sure that the setup is close. So on the far left side, that's the live board. It's a live view, and on the intervening board, we have the analysis. And what I'll be doing is periodically, I'll be stepping back onto the browser window just to see what happened so that I'm able to catch up with the players. And we'll go back a couple of steps and see where what the moves have been. Great. So allow me to head on to, sorry, one more thing. Where can I find the chat so that if we have someone who's commenting, I can see that, and I have no clue where to pick that. Oh yeah, there it is. Great. Welcome. So Ricky Sang, thank you very much, Ricky Sang. And I can see Bernard Wanjala also on the live chat. Thank you very much. Now that I figured out where that is, it's going to be much easier and a lot better. So allow me to just finalize this setup very, very quickly. And we look at the game, and in this game, this is game 4. So for those of you joining us for the very first time, it's been a terrific match between Mehul, Gohil, Gorilla, and Ben Nguku. Though on Friday, the day before yesterday, before the match, it's almost like a boxing round. Mehul Gohil posted something calling Ben Nguku Ben Kuku. And kuku is chicken, basically it's a delicacy in Kenya, and it basically means that someone is planning to eat the other. So game 1 was Mehul was winning, and then he just threw it away. Single move, but a brilliant, brilliant case by Nguku. I will show you that at some point. And then the second game was won by Mehul in a brilliant sort of play. The game was amazing. At some point, he willingly gave out a check on G6, moving the king to F8 without any chances of castling, and he won. He won that game. The other thing that we saw later is one moment. Yeah, so the third game was played in the morning today, and that was a draw. And this is the fourth game. This game is a title decider, basically. Whoever wins this game essentially wins the tournament. Now, unfortunately, Mehul had a winning chance, I think a +8 at some point, and he didn't capitalize on it, and now it's more or less equal. He sacrificed a piece, a brilliant, brilliant piece sacrifice that was 100% winning, but he got the continuation wrong. So how did that go? If you join me, let's see how the game started from the very beginning, and we're going to do that from this window. Just one moment. I hope I've not gotten that out of range. Um, hmm. So we'll take this back all the way to the start. Actually, there is a way I can do that straight from here. There we go. Yeah, so d4, d5, c4. Again, this is a Queen's Gambit, very thematic. Thank you, guys. Queen's Gambit is the in thing now for non-chess players. And if you remember yesterday, we said the Queen's Gambit, this pawn can be captured, but then immediately you can actually have this check coming here. It's a check, and you pick back the pawn once white captures. But then white's plan is not really to capture this pawn immediately. The idea is to now take advantage of the center, develop your pieces very quickly, and at some point you'll win back this pawn. And it's not wise generally for black to try and stick to this pawn. Yes, black can capture the pawn, but then capturing that pawn is not the ideal move at any stage for him. So maybe yeah, maybe what we are able to look at right now is just quickly going through the game as it was. So Queen's Gambit, and we had e6 declined, Queen's Gambit declined, knight to c3, developing the piece, knight to f6, bishop to g5. This is almost a classical Queen's Gambit. Then bishop e7, And then this capture is special capture because after capturing on d5, uh, black usually captures with the e pawn, and what we have then is what is called the Carlsbad structure in a very short order. Once black plays the move pawn on c7 to c6. This is something we spoke about yesterday. You can look at the first video where I spoke a bit about this. And so queen to e2 and pawn to c6. And the idea behind this, to some degree, is to remove the option and the complications that arise from white capturing on black capturing on c4. Because later on in the game, yes, you don't capture on move one normally, but later on in the game, those captures become thematic in part of what is done. Now, after e3, we have knight to d7, bishop to d3 to the ideal square. Sorry, uh, h6, bishop to h4, knight to h5, bishop captures. Now, sometimes it looks like an exchange is an exchange, but in a situation like this, you can see that the exchange favored white. And why do I say this? If you look at the white pawns on dark squares, blocking more or less the dark squares, but then the white bishop has its own avenue. It's able to cross. The squares are the pawns are covering the dark squares. Bishop is covering the light squares. On the flip side, on the black side of things, the dark squared bishop sort of was an interesting piece, and the light colored bishop is blocked by its own pawn. But of course, things can still change, pawns can move, and therefore it's not a disaster as such, and the position is more or less equal. Knight to d2, knight on g to d2, knight to b6. This is a cryptic move. I didn't really understand why, but it's this is must be part of book. I mean, still part of theory. Castles king side for white, castle king side for black. Then rook to b1, signaling the intention to immediately play the move b5, b4 and then b5. The idea behind the Carlsbad structure is that white wants to move these two pawns. Okay, so sorry, you lost me there for a moment, but you're back up. So a3, trying to force through the move b4, and Mehul puts the kibosh on that one with the move. Of course, now you can see because of this very advanced pawn on a5, white can't easily move the knight from b6, and that knight is significantly offside. And also the rook can't move because then this pawn on a4 a4 hangs. It's being attacked by the queen and by the knight. The queen sitting on c2 is very well placed, supporting the bishop on the diagonal h7 b1, and also on the half open file is really well placed as it stands. So black on the other hand has a knight that can come to c4, but coming to c4 has to be well considered because the pawn on f will be hanging. And so queen to g5, well, that move looks, well, it's threatening basically to play the bishop here, but that move really doesn't threaten much because the knight would come up right away onto a g3 square. So this is a plan, bishop to come there, and the knight will come straight up to g3 if necessary. But then white opted for a slow maneuver, king to h1, bishop to d7, and now knight to g1. The knight is coming to f3 to attack the queen, and of course, there's a very nice outpost square on e5. So this knight wants to come up this way and then head up onto that square after attacking the queen. So black tries to stop that by the move knight to bishop to g4. But of course, that's just a waste of time because immediately the question is put to the bishop by the move h3, and the bishop essentially has to go back. And you can see the evaluation bar here already. White is significantly better by that waste of time. And now bishop goes back to e6. And wow, this was such a miss, no? Take a look at this knight. It doesn't have many squares to go to. So g4, you'll probably be forced to move to capture, because if you try and go back to f6, then suddenly Look at that queen. The queen is trapped. So this was a really big miss by white, because white didn't play g4. No, instead white played knight to f6 first, knight to f3, and knight to f3 already is still better, but nowhere close to what it was before. And so queen to f6, it looks like the knight is trapped and you can play g4, but unfortunately playing g4 immediately, the knight is left without a square to go to. And this is why white plays queen to e2, not g2, sorry, queen to e2. And on e2 now the knight is defended, and the g4 will be played, and the knight has no squares to go to. And this is why white had to play the move g6, g6, and this was followed by the g4 move, and the knight had to head up to the g7 square. Then continue this plan. White had planned to move the pawn, the knight to e5 all along, and that happens so that you can allow for the f4, f5 expansion. And essentially, in this position, black is in trouble. But then black found a nice move, queen to h4. The only problem is that the black attackers are very few. There's this rook sitting home doing absolutely nothing, this knight sitting home doing absolutely nothing, and this wasn't ideal. I think the previous moves I set into the system were not entirely accurate, so allow me to just review what the actual, how the game went directly, and then we can pick it up from there. I think, well, actually, I know from that position, the king had played to e2. Then I think g5 was played, h5 was played, and I think in this position, well, let me just be sure about that before I mislead the team. So knight to b6. I'm looking on my browser. You may not see this because it's not shared with you. Yeah, f4. So the intermediate move was knight to c4. Great. Fair enough. So this is what happened. We had f4 played, and then knight to c4. And wow, look at that evaluation, a plus 4.6. What is the reason? Bishop times c4, bishop times c4. Let's see what the plan is. D times c4 and an e4 move. Amazing. And yeah, well, f5 is coming, and this is not going to be stoppable at all. There's no way to stop f5, and very soon the king side for black is going to be blasted open, and the rooks and the queen are well set. Black has perfect center control. There's a knight you can never challenge in the outpost. The rook is still far off from the other side, also defending a pawn, and this is just a terrible position for black. White is actually winning in this situation. But Ben didn't play that. Instead, he played the move f5, which is still quite okay. But then black sacrificed the bishop by the move h takes g4, and black accepted, white accepted the bishop. Immediately, queen takes, king to g1, knight takes, queen to, and knight takes was a mistake actually, because still bishop takes c4 remains an option. And yeah, actually, so in fact, before that capture, sorry, my apologies for guys, I'm trying to look through. I think I missed a move here. What happened is black picked here first, and that pick was done, and then yeah, I hope I'm not misleading the team. One moment, please, just to catch up with the games. Yes, that is correct. That is absolutely correct. So yeah, so that's exactly what happened. In that position, queen picked, knight picked, and yeah, what happened thereafter? King up, knight back up, bishop, rook, picks. There we go. So and it seems as if somehow Black managed to get out of this very difficult situation, and we are in a position where Black is a piece down, but in exchange for that piece, he has 3 pawns. And so this is where the position the game has gotten us to. I mean, I don't want us to miss too much. We'll come back and review the whole uh, series, but I want us to catch up with the players so that we are on the same page. So yes, a couple of moves in. That was played. That was played. Defending the pawn on f4 to free the rook. The rook went to f4. The rook on a went to e8, of course, attacking the very backward pawn. King up. Wow, and this is quite something, no? Um, and I sort of can't help feeling that Black missed something here, no? Because in this position, this pawn is pinned immediately, and he could play f4, or I think even f4, even d4. I'm wondering, no, d4 would allow the c pawn to fall. So f4 is really playable in this position, but it wasn't played. I'm not sure why that is the case, and certainly this would be winning because you have this double pass pawn. So in this situation here, I think maybe he was afraid of a move like this, but that move basically means nothing, and you just lose a pawn. There is no way around that because white can never capture that because it will be rook times e1, and basically um, Black is winning here. So I'm not sure what Mehul missed to allow, and he does have time, so I'm not sure what he missed really that allowed him to. He played here king g7 instead of f4, which is an immediately winning move, and it's not clear why, what he missed in that situation. So um, white moved the pawn up the rook up 1 step to e2, and that move sort of made it possible for white to stop the f4 pawn push, because now the rook is defended, so you can actually just pick on f4. Then knight to f7 was played, knight to d1. I'll just show you guys that you cannot see those moves. I'll just get back there for you to see. And we have the moves: knight to d7, knight to d1, g5, rook to d4, knight to d6. Allow me. Knight to d6, and in this position rook to c2, knight to c4. Yeah, I think that's the position we are in right now. Rook to c2 and knight to c4. And that is the current position that we have on the board. And just looking at the clock, Mehul has 1 hour 12 minutes, Ben has 27 minutes. Mehul is a piece down for 3 pawns, and there's a backward pawn sitting on the e3 square, and that's the source of pain. Now it looks fairly, to someone it may look like white is better in terms of piece count, but then the activity of the black pieces is significant. The pawn structure for black is solid, and one of the things you want to pay attention to is look at weaknesses. So right now it's not very easy for black to pick the pawn on e3 because the pawn on c6 will be hanging. That's why the rook is sitting on e2, and it seems as if there have been some advantages missed. But again, I'm looking at this with an engine. I'm looking at this using Stockfish 12. This is what is giving us this evaluation, running on Commodore, and it's very difficult to fault a player. The fact that Mehul has maintained his advantage through the last couple of moves is a very good sign, and he's doing this while maintaining a time advantage that is basically ridiculous. He has, can I say, he has 1 hour 12 minutes on the clock. Unless I'm reading this wrong, is the game time control is 90 minutes plus 30 seconds per move. Essentially, they're on the 41st move, and Mehul has more or less used only 18 minutes to get to this position. Unless the time as shown on follow chess is wrong, I don't believe it is. And certainly the events on the board are consistent. I think we need to just go back and see the sacrifice that was played by Mehul a few moves ago, because it was a really interesting sacrifice. And he was in trouble, by the way. At the time he played that move, he was in utter trouble. He made some blunders. Ben didn't pay attention, and it's not very hard to see why this position was as it was. Looking at this position here on the analysis board, essentially black has, white has everything. The rooks are on the sides that are going to be open. His pieces are well coordinated. I mean, he's ready to attack the center with the move f3 and e4. And there are some two pieces on the black's camp that are just not moving away. The bishop, black's bishop is a little bit impeded by its pawns, and the knight on b6, whereas he'll come to c4 at some point. Right now, that doesn't look like anything to write home about. And so it's extremely interesting. And I noticed on the board that white has played bishop to e2. There's a threat to pick the knight. That threat is significant, principally because if you pick back with the b pawn, then the knight can come to c2 at some point, c3 at some point, and attack the f4 pawn, though not immediately because there'll be a hanging pawn sitting somewhere. It's a bit tricky, this particular line, and it's very hard for black to find something to do. And in fact, right now, can't black just pick? Actually, black can just pick on e2, no? Because after picking on e2, actually, black can just pick on e2, and he wins a pawn. The e3 pawn can just fall, no? I think it can, because if you pick on e3, and then maybe you can go back to that position very quickly, just see what's happening. I haven't looked at it via engine, but I'm just thinking it's doable at this juncture, because um, it is doable. Let's just run there quickly, see we don't lose too much. King to g7 was played. And then now bishop there. Overwrite that. So I'm wondering, okay, so knight to a5 is one possibility, but what happens here? Rook times c6 immediately. Yeah, that's the move. What I was getting wrong was that if he picks first, of course, then that becomes really unfortunate because then you just lose. As yeah, so that can't be done. Okay, so all right, so it's not a bad move, and what has happened is that in that position, Black has played rook to h8. Is that is tricky. Of course, you can't pick the bishop now because the moment you pick the bishop, let me put this on pause so we are not evaluating. If you pick the bishop, then I'm seeing this move comes in immediately, and wherever the king goes, the rook on c2 is falling. So that doesn't look. It's not paused. Yeah, the rook. Wherever the king goes, this is picked, and it's just more or less game over from here. So quite an issue. Ben has 24 minutes. Mehul has 1 hour, 9 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know whether I can get a chance to show you what Mehul did on Facebook, and I think I will just look for that post right now and share it with you guys because you'll understand why this isn't just about chess. This is a grudge match to some degree, and Mehul wrote something. Well, it's if you are not Kenyan, you may not understand. You may think it's arrogant, but it's not. It's actually just makes for interesting chess. It's the chess scene where we are right now, and there's a lot that's going on. I think allow me to just create something on OBS and create a new scene here. So we are going to add. Well, I'm doing something on the background. Which will be quite something, and then something else, something else, something else. I'll just add that. Multitasking sometimes is a bit of an issue for guys. So hopefully this will allow me to show you what it is that I'm trying to show here. Maybe that is not ideal. Okay, maybe that's not ideal. We'll add something else. All right, no issue. We can just so that we don't spend too much time. So on this is the Kenya Chess Central Group, and this gentleman here is Gohil, the Kenya national chess champion. This card behind him is what he won in the 2019 National Chess Championships, and Ben Nguku came second. And Ben Nguku came second for the second year in a row. The year before, of course, I won the national championship, and Ben Nguku came second again. And this is why Mehul calls him a perennial second finisher. But in fact, Ben Nguku is higher rated than Mehul by almost 70 rating points. And there's no doubt Ben Nguku is one of the strongest chess players the country has ever had. However, Mehul has tremendous effort. He studies a lot and he is very thorough. He has worked extensively. I don't doubt that last night he spent hours preparing for this game, and it shows in his work. He's also very committed, can be very disciplined, and is definitely one of the strongest chess players the country has had. His rating, by and large, you look at the low rating for the Kenyan chess players. Ngoku is 2056, Mehul is just 1983, I think, thereabout. And you look at it and say, wow, very low ratings. But in fact, Kenyan players have never been rated. Actually, the ratings have started just a few years ago. I won the national championship, but my first rating is about 3 or 4 years ago. I wasn't rated before that, and in fact, I didn't play chess for a very long time. And that's the same thing. So I estimate the rating for Kenyan chess players maybe 100, 200 ALOs below what the actual ratings are supposed to be, and we'll see this correction time. And so Mehul had a very interesting post. I hope you can find it here. Um, just one moment. If it is going to be easy to find, then I will show you what Mehul, also known as Gorilla, is. Now, this has been a highly anticipated match. Of course, you can see lots of comments on it. But there is a particular post by Mehul that I hope I will get. And this was yesterday's post by Mehul. He did his usual rubbish in one position, and it was serious rubbish. Completely one position. I think it was +9 at some point, and then but he had only 4 minutes to find a move that said leave your rook sitting on f1 to be eaten by a pawn for free and just still winning. And that was a hard find. And this today he's changed all that. Then again bounced back. He took risks, didn't play safe, and it worked. And unfortunately, Nguku blundered right back because yesterday the move before resignation was a one move loss. It's a one move oversight falling into a check that resulted in a losing queen, king, and pawn endgame, which and I mean just to the end of that one move. So the risk, yes, Mehul played a very good game, but then at the time of Buku blundered, he had an equal position. Morris Archie says triple zeros. And yeah, so this is the post I'm looking for. And so allow me to be very clear. You read this, you may think that it is in bad taste. No, no, no. But this is actually what makes chess exciting. This is Mehul Gorilla being who he is. And most chess players will understand that this is very much a part of exciting chess. And there is no friendship that is lost as a result. These people are friends and they're able to support each other. And this is what he says. Funky Gorilla Tuesday afternoon. Versus Ben Kuku and the boring chef. So Ben Kuku his name is Nguku. Kuku is chicken. Chicken is you can use it in this context as a meal that's about to be eaten, or chicken being cowardly. That's what is driving us. And Ben Kuku's trainer Prince Danielov Mujengere. This is not. Nice, but I'm sure it's referring to President Mulenga of Zambia, who has been very well known for his ease of speaking. So he says, Ngoku is not a natural. Gorilla is a champion by fluke. It is false and Kuku's imagination. Advice, I can't read all this on air now. I want you to go look for this on Kenya Chess Central and read this and post a comment. But really, this was really Mehul Gorilla Gohil poking, just pre-boxing fight, those things they do. This is exactly what Mehul was doing. And it worked because at the end of the day, I think PDM wrote many comments downstream, and Nguku, of course, put in one. And so there's a really, it's a grudge match, yes, bragging rights coming up, but it's all in light taste. So going back to our game, I'll just move away from that and take us back to uh, the game. We see where we are right now, and I'll find the current position, what happened. The king played to G1, and we'll assess that and see what it means. So, yeah, so in this position, the rook played to H8, and the king played to G1. Yeah, so what to say? The engine I'm using is pretty strong. It's not a weak engine by any means. This is Stockfish 12. Running on 8 cores on a Core i7 8th generation processor. And so you can more or less trust this valuation. But of course, there's a very big difference between an engine and a human being. The human beings may be able to get the draw, but for a human being is much harder. So it's more important to just assess and see what exactly could be going on. So let's go through this and just have a look and see what's happening. How do you assess this position? So the first thing, and I've been teaching my 9-year-old girl who's just walked behind me how to assess positions. The first thing you do is look at the material. So materially, we can see white has two rooks, black has two rooks. Um, uh, Black has a knight, white has a knight, but white has an extra bishop, and so black has no bishop. So clearly, white is a piece up. Then you look at the pawns. So black has 6 pawns, white has three. So in this position, white has an extra piece, but black has 3 pawns for that extra piece. Now, 3 pawns is normally considered optimal compensation. But then the other factors in the position that makes a difference. What is the pawn structure like? In this situation, both teams have 2 pawn islands, but then white has an isolated pawn on the e file. Not only is the pawn isolated, it's also backward. Basically, moving that pawn forward will never happen. It's not a pawn you're able to move forward at any degree. And so this pawn is at risk of being lost at some point. You already have a knight attacking that pawn, a rook attacking that pawn. That backward pawn is on an open file, and it's really a pawn that could fall at any time. On the flip side, black has a passed pawn on the G file, and basically the passed pawn can be pushed at some point. The problem in pushing the pawn is that you push the pawn, you leave the F4 square undefended. And in fact, as we speak, Ben has already played the move G4, which essentially pushes the pawn down towards the king. So that's what happened. Allow me to just take a brief break because something is happening now that I need to pay attention to. Why is Tella making noise? Cello, I'm making a video and you're crying. You're making noise for me on my video. Why are you doing that? Don't tell me about that. Why are you crying? Are you in pain? You're just crying. That is not good. Sorry about that, guys. Yes, so evidently I'm working from home, and I know the hazards that come with that is we have to, well, it's not really a hazard. I think at this juncture we embrace it. My little girl, who's at 3 years now, already she's the chess champion, by the way. She loves chess, can already arrange all the pieces, make knight moves the right way, and a couple of things. But then also other matters become important. So here we are. Do leave a comment if you're watching. Let us know what you think about this particular um, stream. We have, yeah, let's see. What else? What else can we do? Actually, I'll do something else so that I think, Tricky Ricky, if you're watching this, I'm going to send you um, a link, and hopefully we are able to have the players roped in at some point. Now, that said, we have okay. Yeah, from this position, what has been played has been bishop takes. Pawn on b takes, probably the only move. and then rook to h2. So I'm expecting at this juncture maybe rook will pick. This transition isn't ideal, and there's a very good chance that we are going to see a drawn position. But I'm very worried about the pawn on f4 because at some point this knight will go to e3, and then you need a rook to defend that pawn. So it's a bit complicated still. I do not know how this will play out. Maybe let's see what could have happened in this position. E10 was the best move actually. So yeah, I think it was most important for black to avoid that exchange of the knight for the bishop. I think that that can only be done by one move. Really, there's no other move that can do it. There's only one move that can make that possible. So really, I think that's a really big miss by Mehul to allow that exchange. That was a really big miss by Mehul to allow that exchange. Yeah, so I'm not sure whether my video still shows the way it's supposed to show. And if it isn't, please leave it in the comments. I can see on the comment Tricky Sam saying Bernard Wanjala drawing if Ben gets all the correct defense moves, black pawns, enough compensation for the piece. And Wanjala says Ricky should be next. And Ricky says indeed he's going to be next with Ben Nguku. Tricky Ricky plays chess on first principles. He's a very strong player. That means that if he studies openings the way I do, he could be one of the most hard to beat chess players in Kenya. Essentially, if he knew what I knew in the opening, he would be unbelievable. But he doesn't believe in opening preparation. He thinks that all these guys tricky. I'm going out in Olympia, but the Magnus Carlsens, Nakamuras, the Giris, all these guys, the Wesley Souls, who spent tons of their time opening preparation are not wise. Just for the record, Gary Kasparov was known for his opening preparation. He was exceptional at it. So I don't know whether you want to stick to that tricky. If you do, just leave it on the comment there. It's just that I feel essentially it's a complicated matter. I wouldn't commend anyone not knowing the opening lines. The other question I've ever been asked is, what is it we need to do to improve chess for the juniors? And I see many young coaches saying that opening is not useful for children. I disagree. It's important for the children to learn first principles of chess, and to learn the end game more than anything, be exceptional at it. And middle game strategies, which is really super important. But then at the end of the day, tell them I'm in a meeting. I'm in a meeting, please. I'm in a meeting, please. I have seen. I'm in a meeting, please. Thank you. This is working from home, COVID-19 days, 2020. I think everyone understands what happens. Yeah, so, but then it's also very important, and it's unacceptable, really. If you're coach hearing me now, it's unacceptable for you to be training a child who is gifted in chess and has played chess for the last 3 years and doesn't know the opening lines beyond move 3 or move 4. That is unacceptable. You're wasting that child. You should refund the parents their money if you don't get that sorted, because the least you can do is get that child to about move 10 of opening theory, allow them to make other moves. Why? Because those opening moves have hidden ideas that help people grow in chess. And so it's important for those kinds of issues to be addressed. Allow me to talk to my beautiful daughter, Hera. Please show me this door. Thank you. So yeah, and that's where we are. And I want to. Yeah, I think my video has disappeared, and I have an idea why that is the case. So there's just something I have to do here. Please, I'm in a meeting. Let's go and hang with mommy. Please. Thank you. Let's see. So, wow, guys, my apologies for this bit of distractions. The beautiful girls want to hang out. Of course, I, I, I should hang out with them in this also, but it has its own complications doing that. So, please pardon me. Hmm, it's complicated. Okay, so we've lost video, and we've lost video because of something else, and I hope my audio is still ongoing. We will try and reestablish video as soon as possible, and that will hopefully be good enough within a few minutes. So what I want to do is to just get, sorry, you cannot see me on the background, trying to set up a couple of things, but there are things that could be important over the next few minutes. Yeah, so I'll be operating blind a little bit. Let's see where we are on the chessboard. So this was played g4, fix, rook to c2, king to f6, king to g3, and rook to e8. And now it's Ben's turn. He has 18 minutes. Mehul has 1 hour, 2 minutes. And I think this is one of the problems. You see, if your opponent is low on time, allowing simplifications is generally not a good idea. And at this juncture, immediately you can begin to see the problem that black may face. And that problem is, oh, is it a good move? No, that can't be a good move, is it? Can it? Mm. King has played to f4. Okay, he's not losing. Rook to h8. And I'm just wondering what happens after this move. Oh, that loses immediately. There's a checkmate threat. Yes, so rook to h3 and rook to f3 is unpreventable mate. So, well, it can be prevented, yes, but the prevention is very expensive. So, actually, how do you prevent it? Interesting. Yeah, so we have rook to g8 on the file. Sorry, guys, once again, just my little girls. And the immediate threat here is rook h3, uh, rook f3 checkmate, and that will be a really tough issue to deal with. Okay, so and Ben has played rook to d2. Okay, and rook to d2 is a decent move because now you protect the seventh rank. I'm wondering what can be done. Isn't the f4 pawn just falling? Oh no, this is always a threat. That threat is always there. Okay, so rook h8 may actually prevent that. Okay, so the king is not in a very good place. It's interesting. Okay, so what and Mehul has played rook to h1, and Nguku has 14 minutes to figure out that every move is losing with the exception of king to g3. Okay, not really losing, but only king to g3 has any prospects. And what happens after knight to e2? Well, of course, you can't move the rook. This is tricky, no? King to g3, rook to e3, king to g2. What happens? Mehul's plan is just to bring his king out to the e5 square and then to the e4 square, and that active king and the pawns become very complicated. So in this time, Nguku has to figure out what to do in limited time, and I think now he has about maybe 13 minutes or so. And yes, it's an equal position, a knight for 3 pawns, but then time is a piece. Mehul learned this yesterday, and today Nguku is going to learn that time is indeed a very powerful piece. Indeed, time is just less than a queen, perhaps, in positions. And Nguku has played knight to e2, knight to f2, not wishing to have the king come to e5, but that move has, black has a range of moves. Black has a range of moves here. For sure, you have an extra knight. So at what stage can you think of this knight for something else? Let's see. No, the pawns are too many. Even 2 pawns may not be sufficient. But rook versus rook for an extra pawn may be sufficient. I think Mehul has already played rook to c1, and then knight to d1 has been played, basically trapping the rook there. And look at the first recommendation by the engine, c3. Look at that. That's an amazing move. Knight of course can't pick. Rook comes to g1. f1 not g1. and king to e6 has been played. So that looks a bit off, doesn't it? Because the question of whether the king can go into... Nah, no, it's not. Yeah, that would be losing. That would be absolutely losing. Okay. So my apologies, guys. The way this is happening for me today is not the ideal way, and I'm trying to restart the video on the side. And this is why I am a bit silent. However, the position you're seeing on the board is the position that is, and you can keep looking at the engine evaluation around here to see what is possible. Oh, and white has blundered. I believe knight to f3, knight to c3 is a blunder. It's a blunder because it allows, and actually is happening on the board, rook to f1, king to g5, and rook to f3, straight up. There'll be two passed pawns in a very short time. Yeah, I mean just now. So let me see what happens in this position. Picks the knight, make a passed pawn, plain and simple. Make a passed pawn. Oh my goodness, this is absolutely losing, and Mehul is winning this game. Mehul is winning this game, and he will be bragging about this for the next 2 years deservedly. He has played great chess, and this last game is an example of great chess by Mehul Gohil. I think yesterday after the first game, I was feeling as if Mehul should already resign if he lost that game to Nguku, but then resign the match, not resign the game. But then he came back strong in the second game, and even the third game he had some chances. There were a number of blunders both sides and missed opportunities. But in this last game, I don't see Mehul making the same mistakes again. And I think after this move, rook to f3, Nguku must be wondering what has gone wrong. And we have to accept the gorilla is not a fluke champion. He's won the national championship a couple of times. He's an Olympian, and so is Goku. And in this case, I think it's done. This is done. So if you go back instead of rook there, if this is captured, what happens? King to e5. Is that the best move now? Does the capture work? Inversion? Oh, it doesn't. Interesting. Interesting. So let's see. Interesting. So the only move that adds value here is, wow, that's interesting. Why does it make a difference? Times e3. And you have a second passed pawn here. No. And Goku has already played the move. Goku has already played the move rook to e2. And so we're expecting g3 in line with Mehul's strength. And Goku is down to 11 minutes. Mehul is down to 1 hour, half an hour to get to this level. And by the way, it's not it's not right to say that Mehul should will win this because he had a much better position. He was winning by far yesterday, and he lost that game. So well, king to e5. That's an amazing move. It's actually one of the top engine recommendations. Actually, it's the top engine. Actually, it's the only move that seems to be winning, and I've not understood what the reason is compared to other options. Or the king is sure, sure. Should the knight move out, then the king just comes to e4 and d3, and it's game over. So the knight basically cannot move because if the knight were to move right now at this juncture, that's not it either. Wow, it's very complex. These guys are playing some really good chess, no? Because in this position, if you had to play this, then this move stops everything you're planning to do, and you can never get back to d3 square. Okay, so what then? c3, king to h4, rook to f2, rook to e1, g2, and basically queen, no? This is the reason. This is the reason. So basically, the king on e5 is supporting the f4 push, and that's the reason why king to e5 is such a big deal. Wow! If Mehul has seen the whole of this, the guy is a master. The guy is playing at master level strength. I think we're going to have um, video soon. I'll just check to see if the video is on, and let's see. That's not the video I meant. But, that looks better. Yeah, so to express respect to all the guys who've been doing this for a long time, I think they're doing a very good job. And this becomes real when you have to look at it in So in this position, Nguku played the move rook e1, and instead of rook to f2, g3 was played. Nguku is down to 9 minutes, and it's fair to say that Mehul is winning this game. What can be played? Let's see. I'm thinking king h4, king h4 now. I'm thinking, okay, there's g2, there's f4. Does f4 work? No, f4 picks, and there's a knight check here, rook here. It's a knight check, so you can actually give up that. So I don't think that would work. So let's see f4, e times f4, king times f4, knight to e2. Yeah, and that's a problem. Yeah, so that's not going to work. So you have to play g2. G2 is basically threatening rook to f1, and actually there is no defense, because if you play king to h3 now, rook comes. So here you must play rook to g1, rook to f2, and let's see what happens in the event of king to h2. Rook takes, knight takes, rook back up, takes that, rook takes e3, rook to g3, attacks. That's just lost, because you have to pick. Okay, so that's not going to happen in that way. Let's see what else could happen. So I think king to g3. Okay, but that's not what happened. It was a pick. G2 followed, rook to g1. So both rook to f2 and rook to g3 are winning. But rook to g3 looks very interesting, because the move you'd expect is king to h4. That will be followed by f4, picks, and now there's a mate threat in addition to everything else. Knight to c5, king to f3, e4, king to f2. Okay, but that's not what was played. Mehul has played rook to g2, rook to f2, and Nguku has 7 minutes, by the way, in this impossible position. If the knight moves, the pawn on b2 falls, and now there are 2 more passed pawns on the c file. If the king moves, the king can only go to h4. That's a move that makes sense. And in that situation, f4 will follow. The pawns can't move, and the rook can't move. So this is lost, no? What I mean is, if the rook moves anywhere, then rook to f1 follows. Okay, that's the worst possible place you cannot play there. But essentially, you get the point that if the rook moves anywhere along this file, this rank, that follows, and it's not good. And if the king moves, that follows, picks, and king to h3, king to f3. What happens in this situation? King to h2. There's another passer here. So if the knight moves at any stage, rook takes. Can that run? It can't. Yeah, and white has played king to h4. Remember, Nguku escaped from such a position yesterday, so I wouldn't put it past him. Of course, f4 is following shortly. Nguku on 6 minutes. f4 has been played on the board. We've seen this almost all now to the end now. Of course, we have the help of an engine, so this is not so complicated. Let's see. Let me see if there are any comments. I see Alon Okwaro says a bad day for Nguku. Yes, it is. And the Chess Kenya chairman says it's not a good idea if your compensation is in pawns and you create many pawn islands. It's much worse if your opponent is a piece up. And that's absolutely true because the pawns can become weak and they fall, and that has happened so many times. Still, the position is winning. I have the benefit of looking at an engine, and I think Mehul has worked this out almost to the end. He's played this exceptionally well. I think he said his understanding of chess is at a different level, and the way he's played this game really more or less proves that. And there is no coming back from this one. I think after this, there's a capture, and you can see white has no moves on this position really. What move can you play? The knight can never move, the rook cannot move. Now white has another passed pawn sitting on the d file. If the knight moves, there will be 3 passed pawns which are connected on the c and d file. And if the king moves, well, the king catches up. So let's look at the path. Perhaps the one interesting thing would be the path of this knight, where to and the king to h3 has been played. We're expecting king to f3. Knight to c3, knight to d1. There's nothing there. From here, the only other square can go to e2, and this king will be standing on f3. So it's pretty much a lost game. Pretty much a lost game. How is this? Well done, Mehul. And actually, it turns out that in this position, there's only one move that is winning, king to f3, which has been played. And why is every other move not winning? Let's take a look. Absolutely no other move is winning. This is amazing. And even in the next move, there's only one winning move. Okay, so black could maintain an advantage in 2 others, but only one move is winning, rook to e2. It's very interesting just to understand what's going on. So, oh, and Mehul has played a different move. He has played, that's the reason. That's the reason, and Nguku has a chance to draw. If you can find knight to b6, and the key lies on which other move that is. It's a move that allows this knight to have freedom that works. And from here, the knight has other moves, including knight e5. So knight b6, knight e4, knight b5 with a check. And once the knight is back into the game, things can become very complicated. So d4 looks good, but it's not a good move. And Mehul has an hour, 59 minutes to be precise, to have worked it out. Do one more waiting move, and don't give a chance. So that's essentially the reason. So this is this game may get away from Mehul once again. Okay, I don't think so because he has so many pawns, but it will be interesting to find out what will happen here. So I'm expecting Nguku to play knight to b6, which he has done. Nguku is very strong, so he's not missing such a move. That was just a bad move by Mehul. Once again, we have engines, so it's not recommended move. C3, EC3, knight C3, played, knight A4, okay, so essentially you can argue that black can't lose this game, but he's lost his advantage. Nguku is down to 5 minutes, but there's a 30-second increment at every time, just like that. And yesterday, Nguku lost advantage, looked like a draw. Mehul lost advantage, looked like a draw, and then he lost. So let's see what's going to happen here. And a big difference in this situation is if you're to play, for example, the move E2, E1, it doesn't really work because, sorry, C2, C1, it doesn't work because after the rook picks on C1, I'm saying if you're planning to push this all the way down, rook picks here, then you're planning to come down, the rook will just come up and say check, and you can't protect this pawn. Knight to C4 on the board. C2 on the board, but I think C2 is just a bad move, no? Knight has gone to E5. Oh, that's a blunder. Oh, it is a blunder. And it's a blunder for a very strange reason. From what I see, king goes to attack the knight, and the idea is the rook is coming to D2 and then coming to D1, and you can't stop that. So if you pick the knight, what to do? King to E4, attacking the knight. King to E4, attacking the knight. Knight can't pick that, of course. I think because rook to F1 is checkmate, no? That's what they're saying. I don't understand that one bit. Oh, yeah, I do understand it now. Yeah, just because the pawn is squinting. Yeah, the pawn is squinting. What I had in mind was just this, which doesn't win because of that. Kelly loses completely. Okay, so what does Mehul do? If he sees the idea behind rook to F1, it's an easy one because that is a threat. And there's no defense. Basically, no defense at all. Okay, let's see what he played. Played king to that loses. Yeah, it's tricky. I'm expecting Nguku may try something like this. Oh, that was a silly move. Okay. Knight time c6. Ooh. Amazing. You move. It's a draw. Now let me say a draw. Sorry guys, I got engrossed in the game so much I forgot that I was streaming live, and this will be a painful escape for Mehul. It looks like he was winning completely. He has all the time on earth, but I think the fact that Nguku doesn't have time was playing in his mind, and he's looking for an easy way out. Now this is straightforward win, and Nguku has played it already. It's on the board. This is a draw. The knight is too close. All the knight has to do is go to e3, king comes up. Whenever the pawn moves, then it will be picked. I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm expecting guys to shake hands here, and that will be it. Nguku, the great escape artist, escaping positions that are impossible to escape. There's nothing to do here. Essentially, this position on the board right now, all Mehul has to do is play the knight to e3, and the pawn can't move. That's it. End of story. It's a draw. The big mistake here was d4. I think Mehul will look back at d4 and feel very sad about it, because the first move is just figure out what can I don't have wait a minute, if white were to play back this move, what happens? Again h2, then king h3. Very sad move. Rook to e8, threatening checkmate. King to h was first. King to f2. Oh, this is sad. Sad day for Nguku. For Mehul. Sad weekend actually. Just like that. But I've had such a feeling myself quite a bit, a number of times, and Mehul has been a beneficiary many times. I think Yuil Machak was open and gotten some opportunities. Then one or two inaccurate moves after getting a good position, and you find you are not okay. And this culture of playing for time has really cost many good chess players. So there we are, guys. I think it's not something we can avoid. That's it. That's it, guys. A really lucky escape. Yeah, I agree with you, Tracy Kim. It's a really lucky escape, and it's a bad day for not a bad day for Nguku anymore, Alan. And Alan Okwaro says Mehul equals Anish. So I think the gorilla moniker is just a joke. It's not true. Mehul is an Anish. That's it. And the game is drawn. So that's it, guys. I think there's nothing else to say. There's nothing else to say about it. Mehul has allowed an escape in a position that was not be escaped. And yeah, they've agreed to a draw. I wish you could see them live, but unfortunately, we had technical issues today, and that wasn't possible. However, um, we do have to say thanks to Mehul, Gohil, and Ben Nguku Namale for giving us terrific entertainment. Clearly, these guys know some chess, clearly, and they have played a fantastic game. We'll just go through the game once more, see a couple of things that could have gone differently, and just look at the key highlights and the key points where actually for this game white could have won earlier and then made a mistake, and then black it was black all the way. So here g4, this was a defining moment already here. G4, just attack the knight. What does the knight do? The knight is under attack, has one more square, and that square is f6, and Nguku will pinch himself when he sees this. When Nguku, if you're hearing this, was seriously g4, because after g4, if knight goes to f6, knight goes to f3, and Mama is trapped. Mama being the queen. So that was one miss. And in this position, generally, white is better. But Nguku played knight f3 first, allowing queen to f6, and then now queen to e2, which is to protect the knight and allow g4, make a square for the knight on g7, g4, knight to g7. And even here, still white is better. Coordination of the pieces is slightly better. He has more space. He has better center control. Then there are the two pieces on the queen side that are idling the rook, and the knight on b6, which are not really doing anything in this game. Then even knight to e5, what was suggested here was knight h2. Knight h2, interesting. Yeah, knight h2, so that there'll be no challenge to that knight. And in fact, it's a very interesting move to reduce the chance of exchanges. This is a very nice move, actually. So that after a move like this, just f4, and the knight can't be picked. So already some finesse, fine moves. Okay, so knight e5, however, remains consistent with the plan that was made by white. And then now queen h4, king g2. I think here we had, after h5, black is still playing two pieces down, so that shouldn't be a problem. f4 is the correct move. Knight to c4, and knight to c4. Ricky talks about first principles, and the first principles here are this: white has only two pieces in the game. that are doing much. Okay, there's a bishop also doing something, but then this knight coming to c4 has potential to do stuff. One of that is to take away this very strong knight on e5, and so taking that knight would be the way to go, or keeping the knight in, the knight to f3. The opponent has no space, don't exchange pieces. That's the worst, really, that you could have done. So picking this, then e4, look at that center. Let's see what happens. Rook on a to d8, okay? No, rook on a, let's play this other rook. No, that's a bad move, because already people are lined here. So what do you do? Defend your pawn, f5. Yeah, this is what we said was going to be coming. What do you do? You really don't have an option. You have to play this rook out first. That's just a pawn, not possible. I'm not escaping from this one. Yeah, this is no escaping from this one, really. It's a straightforward fork. Tricky. Wow. So Ben will not be happy with that at all. And what he played was f5 in this position. Picks. And then queen times g4 is still okay. Then take the piece. What's going on here? It's down. How did that happen? Just a moment. F5, picks, queen to g4, knight picks, the knight is picked, so after queen to g4, why not pick this guy? Times g4, knight picks, it's terrible news. Terrible news. Threatening checkmate. Yeah. Checkmate is unavoidable. Sorry, that's the wrong move. Okay. Okay, guys, so I think that's that. What we will do is leave it as it is. What I'll do is just play one or two sets of Puzzle Rush, and we can leave it at that. From chess.com. Remember that the sponsors of this video was Village Market. I think they've been very supportive of chess over the last couple of years, and we are most grateful to chess.com. So let's see where we are. you can do a simple transition and
other rush for the guys. And where are we? We go to our browser. And now the thing about online chess is we'll play chess in it. Online chess is, I think this is going to be a background statement. This is another statement. This is like a statement there. Let's make a queen. Okay, make a queen there. What happens here? Let's see. Okay, what happens here? This is the fact. Knight looks as if it's in a valuable place. Now it's the queen. See what's going on there. Discovery. Going on here. That knight is pinned. And what can we do about it? You can see it. You can see it. You can see it. I can't see that at all. Come on, what is it? Ah, that's three piece. That's on it. The queen. Checkmate-ish. Let's take a free look at the end. Let's start with this guy. Take a free bishop. This is a checkmate. Take a checkmate. Take a checkmate. What's happening here? Oh, come on, there is something. This will take a fork. Okay, take that way first. C1, the queen. Oh, my turn is up. Very slow. Let's play again. Let's see what happens. Terrible. Difficult here. remove that. Con in and see here. Is that one there? Again, to myself. What am I doing? I'm so slowly. Yeah, I'm missing some videos just now. See what I can see. What does that mean there? Checkmate, checkmate. Looks like checkmate. Oh, checkmate. Finish. Ah, no. C1. Yeah, sorry. Market. Really, that's where I am. Difficult to say anything else. Oh, still slow. 2 minutes too slow. Very much too late. Sure. Then we started, I don't know what it is for. I missed that, I didn't get it. The checkmate. Yeah. Twenty-three. It's getting better. This time. Almost, Stella, you can come. Yes, I'm not really done, but there's something I'm doing that is going on. Oh, too slow. That's enough. This is what I always say until evening. Pavarash. Pavarash. my data. Let's see. What's up, Aaron? And within that, yes. Then be out in a few. What's going on here? Oh, come on, I can't see it. Ah, see it. Ah, come on, that was a mistake. Bad. Okay. Okay, so that was last one. See you guys, goodbye. I think we are good to go and we can go off live stream no BS right now. So thank you. Thank you, Tracy Kim, for great commentary. Could have been much better for sure. I think we will improve coming months. The setup was a bit complicated, but eventually we did something. I will keep working at this. Thank you, Brand Kidula. Thank you, Teta Kirega. Thank you, Village Market. This is the thing that made this possible. And we will work on improving the live stream. Indeed, we are supposed to have been there, Kirega and Brian, but we weren't able to get it fully done. So just thank you very much, guys. Let's hope for the best in all things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Signing out. Remember to subscribe and that other stuff. And stream now.